Hello and welcome to the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson. The Local Leaders Podcast provides a platform for successful business owners to share their stories, their experiences, their advice, and their ideas in order to help our listeners achieve more success in their business and in their lives. Get ready, another great show is coming up. Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson, and I am thrilled today to be able to bring you a legend down from over from California. I knew I'd make him smile. We've got Cris Bennett of Good Stuff on with us today, and can't wait to talk to him. So welcome to the show, Cris, and thank you for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're stoked today as one of those California words that came out of us to be able to talk with you. You've done a lot of things and got a lot of great experiences, and I'm sure our listeners are gonna get lots of good golden pearls of wisdom from you today. So I look forward to sharing your story, and if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to just relinquish the mic and kind of let you tell us a little bit about the business and where it came from and how you got started, and anything that you might want to share for those that may not know you.
Well, it started back when I was 15 years old. My love for the business. I was a 15-year-old wanting to get a car right when I turned 16, begging my parents to help me get a job because I was young back in that day. It was a long time ago. 15 years old was a long time ago to get a job, an entry-level job. But I talked him into talking to this family-run Mexican restaurant that we would go to about once every other week. Got me a job as a busboy, worked there Friday night, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is so much fun. I would do it and they didn't even have to pay me, right? Well, the next night I went back, equally as fun, even funner. It was busier, it was active. I loved the people that worked there. Customers were fun. It was just busy, and the time went by like that, right? So I went home and I said to my parents, I said, Mom and Dad, sit down. I've got something to tell you. I'm going to be in the restaurant business when I grow up. And my dad jumps out of the chair and is like, yes, I always wanted to be in the restaurant business. I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. Anyway, so that was kind of the kicker. I got this job. I worked it for months, and I finally had to quit because of school, but I just fell in love with the business, and I ended up kind of like navigating my future life into how I was going to succeed. And it started with going to college, went to the business school at University of Utah. And then I went to a private school after my third year there in the business school at University of Utah. Went to University of Denver and got in their hotel restaurant management program. Ended up getting a degree, a business degree / in restaurant management, and got out of college, came back to LA, got a job in a restaurant in Beverly Hills. I was a lowly manager working for an independent operator who was a little bit older and kind of like on his way out, but he had a wife that he was a little bit younger, and she was running the restaurant. Well, she just worked me just to the bone, 6 days a week, 12-hour days, getting paid like $6 an hour after you factor it all in. And I was like ready to get out of the business. And then I come in one day and I find out he sold the restaurant, and the new owner is a younger, hipper, kind of beachy guy. And he says, hey, Cris, I want you to stay with me, and I'm going to move you down to Manhattan Beach. I was like, where's that? Well, Manhattan Beach at the time, and is still today, one of the premier beach cities in the Southern California. It's just beautiful. And I went down there and I worked for him for about a year, and I got lucky enough to find a little burger stand in West LA. It was actually called Jake's Philly Steaks, and it was about 500 square feet. I took that over, still working for this guy in Manhattan Beach, and I took this restaurant over. and pulled one of his best employees out, had him quit, hired him, and started my first Good Stuff Burgers on the corner of Olympic and Bundy. And I worked kind of undercover for about 6 months, and then found another spot right on the beach in Hermosa Beach. And it was, just a steal. I thought I bought it for a song, and remodeled it and opened my first Good Stuff restaurant. So I had Good Stuff Burgers in West LA, and I had Good Stuff restaurant, the ripe age of 25 years old. And I was off and going. I quit my day job and did it full time and never looked back. I actually still own both of those restaurants. In Hermosa is in the same location. In West LA, we moved down the street a little bit, but it's still there. And I have a partner that runs that, but it's called Good Stuff Burgers still, and then Good Stuff in Hermosa. And that's kind of how I got into the business. And those were different times, and you certainly can't do that today. My first restaurant cost me $3,500. Took me a month to paint it and clean it up and get some new equipment. $1,500 later, for a grand total of $5,000, I was in business. And it's a lot different now in California. To open a restaurant, you've got a lot of government intervention and health department intervention, as restaurant owners know across the country. Mm-hmm. So it's a whole different game completely. But I was lucky to get in when I did. And I got to be honest with you, I just love the business. I mean, it's been great for me. I've had the opportunity to work in great communities, serve, customers that have become friends and lifetime friends, and watch kids grow up and hire employees. And the last 42 years, just watch them, just these segments of employees that come through our stores. And it's awesome. I mean, it really is. It's been everything. And it's been a great way to bring my family up and everybody working for me, and can be a little bit of a headache sometimes, but overall, it's great. It's been great. It really has.
Well, that's a fantastic story, and it's always kind of good to hear the humble beginnings of your empire, and how it started and how you got into it for, like you said, $5,000 later. You've got your first place of business. And can you imagine doing something like that today on the beach in California?
No.
Wow.
You can't do that anymore. That's a thing of the past. I just opened a restaurant about 6 years ago, and it was a lot different. Right now I have 4 restaurants, and then 1 in West LA, but the 4 I have down in the beach cities are all full service, serving, table service. And it comes with its own challenges, but again, we've been down around. We're a household name. Our Good Stuff is known throughout the community. And with our restaurant in Hermosa Beach being right on the ocean, 1 block north of the pier, in a very touristy, well-known Southern California beach community, it's pretty amazing. We kind of are known much broader than just the normal 3-mile radius a restaurant pulls from. We started before the internet really got going. We kind of got in real early with a camera down on the beach, and we started uploading photos to our website, which had just started, and it was we called it the Strand Cam. We still call it the Strand Cam, and you can see it on our website at eatgoodstuff.com. And it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's a slice of Southern California, and we will get emails from all over the world: Norway, England, South Africa, that they tune in every day while they're working on their computers, and they have that box up in the corner of their screen showing the beach and customers coming in and sitting and eating, and people playing volleyball on the beach, roller skaters going back and forth. I mean, it's so cool. And we get emails about how people get through their day by just being able to live through this little photograph of real life in Southern California. It's
Yeah,
so funny.
it's amazing.
Uh,
I'm looking at it now. When you mentioned it, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about the Strand Cam, and
you're checking it out right now?
I just popped it
Yeah.
up to
You
see
can see
what.
how beautiful it is down there. Is it?
Oh
Is it?
man,
Yeah.
it's amazing. If you hadn't been to the website before, again, as Chris said, it's egoodstuff.com. And if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a link down there for the Strand Cam, and it is really really nice. I could see that kind of being open in your background just to get you through the day.
Yeah. Right.
What a great idea. And
there more and more people work from their computer screens than ever before, and a lot of them across the world are not even going into the office. So I mean, they're working at home, and it's kind of nice to have a slice of that Southern California right there on your front desk.
Yeah.
Southern California comes with its own challenges. Trust me, it's not all sunshine and roller skating. We've had our share going through the COVID and being very impacted down here in LA County. It's been a challenge, definitely. Some challenges, I think, like when you asked me about, mention some of the challenges in our business, obviously it's different now with the COVID consequences, like, COVID challenges, I call it. It's, labor. You can't get people to come back to work, and it's just a different, different employee now. It just is there. Everything's a little different with the COVID. Getting product. It's amazing how I can't get Bloody Mary mix because the guy that produces it for us can't get bottles because a lot of the bottles are coming overseas.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get a gluten-free chicken tender because one ingredient is not available and they're out of product for, another 6 months. I can't get chicken sausage. They're out of product. It's just crazy how and all restaurants are going through this same thing, and, labor and hours. And I just went through summer and my staff is just burned out. I mean, I've had to close a couple of evenings just because I just can't get anybody to work. And it's very challenging. Most of the challenges I've had over the years have been pretty much out of my control. It's either weather, high tide, just, the economy. I mean, that's kind of the biggest challenges I have over the last 42 years. We've been in business for a long time, and I have restaurants that are, my Hermosa restaurant, 41 years. I've had Redondo restaurant for 23 years, El Segundo for 17, and Palos Verdes for 6. And, it's been awesome, like I said, and not without the challenges, but it's how, as a business owner, and you look to the long-term lifespan of your business, and it's about making sure everyone leaves happy. It's about, investing back in the community and being there with gift cards and showing up at events and helping. When we first had the COVID hit us and the first responders were so impacted, we rallied around a cause of helping feed the first responders, be it the hospital workers in the emergency room and ICU, the police departments, the lifeguards on the beach that were still working every shift, and the fire departments. And so we rallied around and we got our customers involved. They were feeling very challenged by not having the ability to do anything to help. They felt helpless. And we came together as a group of our loyal customers from our email list of compiling emails of local customers that were on our loyalty program and just had traveled to our area, and came up with a program of a small contribution, us underwriting it, us taking care of the food, working with the hospitals, working with the fire departments, working with the police departments, and getting food to these first responders. And just, when they were in a challenging time of their lives. And this was all just happening in, when April of 2020. I mean,
Right.
it was crazy times. And that's how, just being a little more invested in your community has been a big part of our success at Good Stuff. Definitely.
Yeah, I would imagine that that for you, you're full service restaurant at all your beach locations, and so people come there for the experience and for the location and for the sights, the sounds, the beauty, the all that kind of stuff. And when COVID came through, I'm sure it had a big impact early on. But you guys were able to adapt and find your way through it.
It was a really interesting, obviously, for everybody. Every business had their own challenges and experiences. I mean, I for that year and a half, we just had to think outside the box. I mean, there were so many ways that we were getting, shut down. I mean, we would, get open, and then all of a sudden, LA County would say, no, we're shutting back down to in service. So you're going to just be doing to-goes. And, and we lost a lot of employees that didn't return, some changed fields. And, it's challenging in the restaurant business because a lot of your employees are not career oriented restaurant people, right? They're, they're working towards something else, or they're in school, or they're, so a lot of my guys went to construction. Construction was blowing up. Interest rates were low. So the whole industry lost a lot of employees to other fields that were doing well during that time. A lot of them still have yet to return, that didn't move fields, but just have not returned to work. Unemployment, COVID money, whatever it was, they've just decided to stay home. Maybe it's, daycare, kids not in school. Right. That's back in school. So hopefully this will change for us out here in Southern California, but it's been a very challenging year and a half, well, it's over a year and a half now, but it's been very challenging. And it's been like this across the country, I'm sure. But here in Southern California, we're bracing right now for possible another something, something's going to happen out here, I'm sure.
Yeah. And you guys are usually, I'm on the other coast.
Yeah.
On the East Coast side, and trends typically start over there on, where you are and move their way across the country eastward. So, we're often kind of waiting and watching California and seeing what happens there to kind of get a feel for what's coming our way. And we all hope that we'll stay open and that, things will stay under control and we'll be able to continue as we are and continue to recover, because restaurant business has done well. It's amazing to me that COVID seems to have increased demand for restaurants. Nobody wants to cook, nobody wants to clean. It just seems like we all want to get out and go enjoy a great meal. And what a great environment.
To a certain extent, a lot of restaurants out here have more business than they can handle.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the communities, not only in Southern California, but across the country, have expanded outside. So they've basically that's happened here big time. And some of our restaurants are busier than they've ever been. Some of the restaurants, not just mine I'm talking about, but some of the restaurants that are in our community have expanded twice as big as they were. And I don't even know how they handle it as far as their kitchens, how they can produce that kind of food. We had to we got outdoor space like crazy. And we just had to shut down other areas because, number one, we didn't have a kitchen big enough. And it was crazy. I mean, you're right. People, and then when it finally opened up, people just wanted to get out. They wanted to go to a restaurant, get waited on, and just have that experience. Yeah. And now outside seating is huge. I mean, nobody wants to sit inside. They'd rather sit on the patio and they'll wait for it rather than sit in the dining room.
Yeah.
And that's partially, maybe some are still a little bit worried about COVID, a lot worried about COVID, or they just really love the outdoors. I'm more towards outdoors. What about you? Do you have that tendency to want to sit outdoors now since COVID in your neck of the woods?
I believe so. Over in North Carolina, we were a little less strict than I think the whole way through than you guys over in Los Angeles or in California area. But But yeah, the outdoor, anybody with patios and outdoor spaces, we're really able um, to kind of migrate their business or indoor dining to outdoors, and they've really done well. And
Yeah.
so you see two things here, which I think is probably common with you guys, and that is you see the outdoor seating increasing and more capacity added. Added there, and then you see more of the quick serve restaurants concepts coming up because the I can't even talk now. The delivery and the takeout business, expanded so large.
Oh yeah, it's gotten crazy.
That
Absolutely crazy.
You're seeing a lot of those.
to-go business is jumped like nobody's business when we were only to go. And the great thing about it is that a lot of the customers really supported the local restaurants, really dug down deep and made a purpose of picking food up, even to where the trunk was popped and you just drop it in the back, close the trunk, and they drive off. I mean, they, even if they were super paranoid about COVID, they still made an effort to come down and support the local restaurants. And that saved a lot of us down here, saved our bacon, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really coming together for everyone to support each other and keep as many restaurants and other businesses open as possible. And we're all thankful for it. And we're thankful for our patrons. And again, if you haven't been down to and eaten some good stuff lately, don't forget those guys. They got 4 awesome locations on the beach, ready to serve you. And you can come in and eat. You can eat outdoors. You can eat anywhere.
A lot of outdoors.
Yeah, it really looks like an amazing opportunity. I wish I was there every time. When I was talking to you before, and I see those scenes. It's just that feeling that your business perpetuates, that seems to draw people in. And hey, I'm curious, over 42 years of doing this, and I didn't prep you for this really, but can you tell us a little bit about how you're structured today in terms of, are you operating any of the locations yourself? Have you developed other leaders within the organization to kind of run different aspects of the business? Can you just give us a little sense of how you operate today?
Sure. We have right now we're about 160 employees between the 4 restaurants. We actually use a structure of general managers in each store, and they're responsible for day-to-day operations, training, scheduling, ordering, overall more of a overall, just we have a kitchen manager, but they oversee the kitchen manager as well. They're rewarded they're in percentage programs with not only a flat wage, a salary, but also, a bump with food costs, hitting a certain number on the food costs, hitting a certain number on the labor costs, gives them some motivation, consistency. Then I have an ops manager that oversees all 4 restaurants. And he came up as my HR manager, but now he's my ops manager. So he has a very good background in HR, because HR is really important, especially out here in any business now, especially with what we just got to you got to be on top of everything, because, getting sued, we haven't even seen what's going to happen through COVID, of what the lawsuits will come around to restaurants. That's to be expected, and it's going to happen. And then we have inside that general manager, kitchen manager, we also have assistant managers, kind of a shift manager, and they'll help with certain tasks, but mostly they're just there to make sure guests are accommodated. We're taking care of business. The cash, credit cards are all accounted for, and that's how we run our system. It's been our whole, I think the key to Good Stuff success is the team that we've compiled. We have a great team. A lot of these people have worked for 30 plus years for me in kitchen and front of house. They're part of the Good Stuff family, and they feel it. We take care of our employees. I mean, I always say that our employees are our most important asset. I mean, they're just as important as anything else going on in the restaurant. Is you take care of your employees, they're going to take care of you. You make them feel important. You make them feel like they have a voice, and they're just gonna. It's almost like my GMs take ownership and they feel like it's their store. They really buy into the system. And then what we really stress with our employees is we don't really think of good service. We don't really think of like good service is it. Hospitality is it. Hospitality is what we provide. We have a lot of regulars that come in our restaurants because we're in these little beach communities. So it's like they come in 3, 4, 5 times a week, breakfast, the good stuff. That's it. Lunch on the lunch hour. They split between 2 or 3 places and they come all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's really about getting to know them, getting to know their kids, getting to know about them, what they order. I mean, we have people that walk in and my servers know what they're going to have and they just order it, and they have an iced tea on the table. And it's like, they feel like they're at home. They feel like they're at Cheers. I hate to say that, but it's hospitality. That's what we serve. Good hospitality is memorable. Good service, it's I guess it's memorable. It's good, but hospitality is really what drives us. And especially in our situation, because we have so much repeat business that, that's our bread and butter, basically.
Well, speaking of that, I do believe I saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, a loyalty program. Have you been running that for a number of years? And how's that work?
It started with a breakfast club. Where you buy 10 meals and you get the 11th one free. And people would bring around the little card, and then they'd lose the card. And, and then finally with the onslaught of the great POS systems, they kind of incorporated. We use a POS system called Toast. Yep. And overall, we've been very happy with them. Came from Aloha for years and years, but we've migrated to Toast, and they work on a cloud system. So we very seldom will have, it go down like a PC will, and the internet. And, we just don't have those issues with Toast as we used to have. And they have a very integrated reward system, and you can modify it. We basically give a point for every point spent, or every dollar spent. And then they reach different levels and they get to use those points. And it's a great way to promote, like a promotion. Come in on Tuesday afternoon and get double points, for like a happy hour thing. So we're able to motivate, and the biggest thing for us is that it keeps everybody. We get contact on our loyalty customers, and they don't mind us sending things to them, because we don't send a lot to them, but we'll send about once a week. We'll send something out. What's going on in the community? What's a special we have going? Do we have, what's happening at Good Stuff, or what's happening within the community? What's going on this weekend down in Hermosa for the concert on the beach? That type of thing. And that's how we stay in touch. And it's sort of it keeps us connected to our customers. They're part of our family as well. So it just brings everybody together. It gives them a real, sense of belong, and it's nothing they have to do. It's the great thing is that all they need to do is register their credit card one time. So every time they use it, it goes automatically to the points, and they don't have to worry about it. They can go online and check their points. The servers, if they have points, will say, hey, you got $20 on your rewards. Do you want to use it? Some people never use it. They want to see it get up to 1,000. It's craziest thing. And it's not always about the points. Some people, it's really about the points. It's like, hey, I think I ate here last week and I don't see my points on there. Yeah. So it's a great way to keep, it really works for us because we have so many regular customers, and it's great that they can go to Hermosa on the weekends and eat, and then they work in El Segundo and they come to El Segundo at lunch, so that all the points are combined, so it's not like it's only for one store, and we just reward them at whatever store they come into. It's a little bit of a counting thing, but we take care of it. And it's been a great program for us for years and years. And like I said, it started out with the breakfast club, 10 stamps and you got a free one, basically. Yeah. Same concept.
No, I love it, and I think it's a great way to, like you said, stay in touch with your employees, with your customers, and give them something exciting to do, and something to track, and something to watch. And it's funny. Some people just like you to owe them.
Yeah.
I'd rather you owe me than me owe you, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's great about the contact too, is that I think our email list is up to 50,000,
Oh my gosh.
emails, and a lot of them are taken off, no use, whatever, they move out of the area. But, that was the way we really kicked off our feeding the first responders, is we sent one email out explaining the program. We got the same day, we got over 600 meals donated. The next day, another 600 meals. And just like that, it was a way to reach out and communicate with your customers, and they respond. And so obviously our open rate is really good. I mean, they don't just trash our emails. They want to see what's going on at their local restaurant. It's a great way to connect, keep them in the family, make them feel part more than just a customer. They're part of the good stuff, family. I hate to use that, but I do it all the time. But the good stuff family.
Well, it's been your life.
Yeah, it
Chris,
has.
I mean, 42 years. My gosh. Any big retirement plans coming up down the road?
Well, I have a 12-year-old still. So, I'd like
keep
to
going.
see him. I'd like to see him through, high school at least, and get him off to college. And then, yeah, I've got a couple kids that are kind of interested in the business. Not, I've got a couple years, one working for me and one sort of doing marketing and video work and handling all that, social media. So I still got a couple in the game, and I got a couple down the road, but I got a great crew, and I really like the position I'm in now. I'm just doing enough to keep kind of active. I like going in the restaurant, seeing what's going on, and kind of guiding them. But in menu development and marketing and face of the restaurant, but not doing the day-to-day, grind when someone doesn't show up for work, and having to cover that. That's somebody else's job. So it's kind of nice, good for me. I've done that before.
I was gonna say, with that old cigarette commercial, you've come a long way, baby.
Yes, indeed. Virginia Slims.
Oh, we're giving our age away, Chris. We got to watch.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Well, that's fantastic that you've gotten there. And I'm curious on. I want to ask you a couple things about maybe some metrics. Just and I didn't ask you about or prep you for that either. But as we were talking, there's some different things were hitting me. You mentioned prime costs earlier, and your GMs or your kitchen managers, different people within the organization. You got some compensation tied to performance. Mm-hmm. What do you look at as the owner of this enterprise, this nice business? What kind of numbers are you looking at? Numbers on a regular basis, and if so, are you able to keep some of those key metrics like prime costs where you need them to be today?
That's going to become very difficult over the next few years. We're already seeing things just raising through the roof. I like to keep, I'm as far as food and labor, I'd like to keep a combined 60%. When I was in school, it used to be like 65%. You could keep under that number combined. You could do pretty good. This business is such a penny business. It's just, you really got to be on top of everything all the time. It gets a little out of control out here in California. A lot of operators are not paying full minimum wage for their servers. Out here we're paying everybody minimum wage of $14 an hour. Even though that server is making, a lot in tips, spread around a little bit. Luckily, we were able to, get some tip money for some of the cooks, because there's just such a big variance on, big difference of pay. Servers are just making a lot of money, and it's hard to get people to want to manage. Everybody wants to be a server. It's just good, quick money. And at $15 an hour in January 1st, it's 14 now, it's going to 15. So that's a challenging number when you got to pay your managers a little bit more, you got to pay your cooks a little bit more, and they're working their butts off as well.
Yeah,
it's everything is going up. Everything's going up. I don't know. It's going to be really challenging the next couple of years to keep control of everything. Rents are certainly not leveling off in Southern California. So it's going to be a challenging time. I don't even know what to expect in the future. It depends on how this all goes, but it's hard to get a lot of the products. It's hard to get repair people out to your store. Everything's going up. Everyone's having to pay more to get people to work. And it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch the balancing act that you're having to walk between rising costs on one hand and trying not to, outrun the customers on price increases, and trying to find creative ways to mitigate some of those costs in other ways. It's just been an interesting journey, and you've really got to be sharp and lean and mean and do everything right to be able to maintain the margins that you're looking for. And, I asked somebody about a couple of weeks, maybe last week, and I hadn't asked that question before, but is there a perfect mix between food and alcohol sales that maybe you look at, or do you have kind of a goal in mind on that?
Well, I don't serve a lot of alcohol. I'm more of a family restaurant. Mm-hmm. And good stuff. If you were to ask a regular customer or someone in the community what you think of when you think of good stuff, it's breakfast. So yeah, we sell a ton of mimosas, and we do pretty well with the mimosas, food cost wise. But we're not big alcohol sales at night. So it's a very nominal number for me. I still sell some craft beers. I still have some nice glasses of wine by the glass, but I'm only open in 2 stores at night. The other 2 are breakfast and lunch only. And so that's a little bit challenging because, when you think of like the International House of Pancakes or, dinner has always been sort of an afterthought, kind of that way for me as well out here. I mean, we do pretty good in the summer but it's not my mainstay business. It's breakfast and lunch is really cranking for me. Yeah. And we'll see what happens in the future, where I would be perfectly happy expanding and just being breakfast and lunch and finding that, that location that would accommodate that and doing the numbers, because I do well breakfast and lunch. Dinner is just open to, provide a service to the community, keep people employed. It's not great. We've tried numerous things, but it's just, it's just challenging out here. It really is, being honest with you.
No, I appreciate you clarifying that. Although everyone loves a great mimosa,
we sell a lot of mimosas.
Yeah. Who can turn down a mimosa?
No, it's our area used to be a real breakfast spot. And then once the Starbucks and the coffee houses came along, sort of diluted a little bit, but man, breakfast and good stuff on a Saturday and Sunday is just an hour wait. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's great. But there's a lot to do. You can come down and we're in these little villages, these little downtowns. You can stroll around and walk out on the pier and, do a bunch of stuff. So it's more of it's not just getting breakfast. It's more of an event and more of, something to do and something to see, and bring your out of town guests and just sort of see the community.
Yeah. Bring your friends, family, have good stuff becomes a part of an experience or
exactly.
At the beach. Yeah.
And don't you think that, when times get a little thin, when you've been cooped in the house for a long time, whatever the situation is, but restaurants provide not only a meal, but also an experience.
Mhm.
And so it's great to like go, yeah, let's go get something to eat in the village. And you go down to the village and you can put your name on the list, maybe go next door and get a cup of coffee or get a drink. And then, it's just more, there's, and you're satisfying a couple of your needs, a need to get out of the house, a need to kind of communicate or socialize, and then eat as well. So it's great. It's restaurants are, like you said, restaurants, people have really wanted to get out during the COVID time and just, they were dying to get out to eat, and restaurants have done well. And that's one of the reasons, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Satisfies that a couple of needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, a testament to your long history in business and making these people feel comfortable and want to come back and want to make you part of their experience for the day. And, I don't know, you guys have done a great job over all these years, and you seem to have a big talent for marketing and to be able to really grow the business. Any words of wisdom? I just looked down at the time and I realized I've already talked longer than I meant to. So I apologize for that, but any kind of final last thoughts or words of wisdom that you might share with some of your fellow restaurant owners out there?
Yeah, I honestly think, one thing I've been very fortunate, I've been surrounded by people that have kept me current, in what way to promote yourself. I mean, the internet is still a very it's been for a long time, but all these social media aspects, it's reasonably priced. You don't really have to pay much. You just need to have someone that knows what's going on. I mean, uploading photographs and a meal, and there's just so many ways that you can touch the community or your customers with very little invested. And so I stress, if you don't have a vibrant website that's designed right, like pay a little money to get your website done right, so you're getting hits when people are searching. Make sure you have good Google, or not Google, good Google and Yelp reviews. I mean, we touch with customers that are regulars and say, hey, they rave about the restaurant or the food, and they're like, well, here, would you mention your server's name in a review? I mean, these things all are very reasonably priced ways to touch the community, reach people. It's very hard to get a new customer in, but you have this aspect. Even TikTok, we started doing TikTok.
Oh, wow.
And TikTok's such a hot thing, but it's like, we started doing it. We had a TikTok page and we're putting out TikToks of food being made, of people enjoying, whatever. It's an easy way to get in front of your customer base and new customers.
Yeah.
So that's really, I still see places that are not taking advantage of it. And I think they're really missing the boat. Really missing the boat.
Yeah, I see a lot of that in my day-to-day work. And
yeah, well, you're in the business, right?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, and it's good that you have something, but today it's really hard to compete, especially online, which is so much more a bigger need to be able to compete online since COVID. A lot of folks assume that if they've got a Facebook and an Instagram page and they put an occasional post up there 2 or 3 times a week, that they're marketing. And I encourage all our listeners to take it up a notch. There's a lot more opportunity out there to be on the leading edge with the technology that's available to us. And like you said, I shouldn't say some of us, I should say me in particular, I feel like I'm starting to age out of being, being able to handle all the technology that's out there and keep it, all right here in one place and manageable. And finding people who have that skill and that ability and experience, I think is key. And thank God for the young people, right?
Oh yeah. I've got to get an opinion on everything because I'm getting older and I'm like seeing things a certain way, but my clientele is not my age necessarily. So I get I get my employees' opinions, I get my kids' opinions, and it just is so great to have that free input, and just sort of guide you along. And then hiring someone that knows what they're doing, it just makes a world of difference. It's great money spent. Let me tell you, that's what I think that I think we've done a great job in our marketing, internet marketing, and our social media platform, and just our way of connecting in that arena has been really good. And it's made a big difference for us, for sure.
Yes, sir. Hey, final question. Should we be on the lookout for any new locations or new concepts or anything like that coming out? Or are you kind of hanging with what you have now?
Well, right now during this season, I tell you, I'm really trying to make my restaurants the best they can be. I'm really focusing on little areas of it, certain menu items and in appearance of the restaurant. I've always felt that you got to keep your restaurant up and painted and clean and make it look as presentable as possible. Like you're just, I just want to make it look like it's thriving, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Honestly, I'm not really looking for any expansion modes right now. But I have been really focusing on just making our day-to-day operation as good as it can be, and really focusing on my employees, because, having good employees is a gift. It's not a given anymore. It's a gift. And to make sure you're invested in them and make sure that what's going on. If they have any challenges, he's supporting them and just, checking in with them, not taking anything for granted anymore. So yeah, I'm kind of focusing on what's going on out here. It's a lot different scene than it is in South Carolina.
Yeah.
From the overall political COVID thing. Yep. It's a lot different out here. And I keep going back to that. It seems like in this conversation, but it's just a big thing for us out here. We don't know, what's going to happen tomorrow,
Yeah, I was really shocked, and I'll wrap up here, I promise. But I was out there for my daughter's graduation. She had her college experience at Pepperdine.
Oh, great school.
Yeah, and she graduated this past May, so I was out there for about a week for that graduation, and I hadn't been in a while. And since I used to come out, several times a year, and since when COVID started, it kind of cut a lot of that travel down. Obviously, you couldn't even get into California there for a good while. And anyway, long story short, I was really surprised at the difference between the vibe in California in terms of COVID and the precautionary nature. And people seem to be more scared and more into it and worried about it and taking precautions than on my side of the coast, where
it's true.
Yeah, it's a lot more lackadaisical, if that's the right way to say that word. But anyway, not necessarily relevant, but if you are running a business, restaurant especially, and you got locations across the country, then that's another set of challenges because of all the different regulations and rules and restrictions that are in place. It's tough to have standards when you're forced to kind of run your business differently. So
well,
anyway,
can I add one thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, so out here, Southern California, we had some of the stiffest restrictions going through COVID, and we're still kind of going through that. And now the county is really expecting a lot of businesses to mandate and to police who can come into their establishment. It used to be a mask, and now it's a vaccinated
vaccine card. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a vaccinated customer. You have to have a card to be able to get in, or a test. So these poor guys that have nightclubs or breweries that are bringing people in have to now be the police on stopping people at their door to make sure they're vaccinated. And it's just, regardless of what side of this fence you sit on, as far as vaccinated, non-vaccinated, mask, non-mask, having these businesses police this just adds a new element to your business, completely new element. We've gone through it with the masks, and it's just a challenge out here, you know. And I'm not saying it's wrong one way or the other. You know, I'm looking at it. It's just from a business standpoint and of running your business, of having to now be the police and monitor who comes in and out of your restaurant. Oh, you're just going to the restroom? I'm sorry, you need a vaccine card to go to the restroom. You know what I mean? It's just insane. And they can sit outside, of course, but can they go into the restaurant to go to the bathroom? I don't know. It's a good question, right, Jeff? I mean,
that's a great question. That same bathroom that bathroom that you're mandated to have for them.
Right. You
Suddenly
have to
now they
mandate it.
can't
You're
use
supposed
it.
to give it to a customer, but now if he's not vaccinated or he doesn't have a card or he forgot his card, you're not supposed to allow him in to use the restroom.
Yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
It's going to be a challenging time if that happens to restaurants. It's very close to happening out here too. It is very close. Yeah. They're suggesting restaurants do it. They haven't mandated yet, but you know, pretty soon to go to Disneyland, you're going to have a vaccine card, and you know, at least you can stop them from coming in. But a lot of these people get very worked up about things like this, and there's been incidents, you know. So anyway,
yeah, there's a lot of division, and you know, another reason why, you know, our industry, the restaurant industry, has lost employees. You know, because the employees are the front line of that conflict, and having to do that policing, and it's just not right. But that's my opinion. One man's opinion. That's all I've got.
One man's opinion. Exactly.
Yes, sir. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you and having you share your background, your experiences, these 42 years of being in a restaurant owner and running a successful business. I mean, who better to share ideas and experiences with our audience about how to be successful than somebody that's done it for 42 years. So congratulations to you for your long time accomplishments. For supporting the community, the industry, all the jobs that you've created. We don't ever thank people like you enough. So here's a big thank you from the local leaders following.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I really enjoyed myself. It's the quickest hour I've been through in a long time.
Oh, I know it. I told you earlier on, I'm like 35 minutes. We'll get it done. But
well, I figure it must have been going well. You had me on for this long, right?
Yeah, we both like to talk so much. I tell you what.
Probably. That's probably it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on the show today. And for all of our listeners, you know, we're talking to Cris Bennett, and he's over in California with 4 locations of good stuff. And if you haven't been there, website is going to be up on the screen, but eatgoodstuff.com. Did I get that right? All right, eatgoodstuff.com, and check out the camera, the Strand Cam. And keep that bad boy open in your window to make your day go by a little easier.
There you go.
And if you haven't been over to Good Stuff recently, make sure you get back there. These are great people, great employees. We want to continue to support them in the community, and thank them for being there for us. So again, thank you for being on the show. And for our listeners, thank you all for joining us for another episode of the Local Leaders Podcast. Look forward to seeing you on our next show. Thank you.